A woman steps off a train. She holds the hands of her two children, a 4-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. The place is Auschwitz. The year is 1943. A Nazi officer approaches her. He looks at the children, looks at her, and says a sentence that will destroy this woman's life forever. You can save one of your children. Choose which one will live. If you don't choose, both die. This is not a fictional story created by philosophers to debate ethics. This happened. Not exactly like this, but situations like this were documented in Nazi concentration camps. And this specific story became the most studied moral dilemma in modern psychology. Her name is Sophie. And the question I'm going to ask you today is simple. What would you do in her place? Before you answer, I need to show you why this dilemma is different from every other one you've ever heard, and why your answer will reveal something disturbing about how your brain works. Most moral dilemmas we study are abstract. A runaway train, a lever, people tied to tracks. They're thought experiments, hypothetical scenarios that will never happen to you. But Sophie's dilemma is different because it involves the most visceral thing in human experience. Your children, your flesh, your blood. The people you created, fed, protected. The people you would die for without thinking twice. And now someone is forcing you to decide which one deserves to live. Most people's first reaction is to say, I wouldn't choose. I'd let both die rather than have to decide. That way the guilt wouldn't be mine. But is that really true? Researchers at Fudan University in China studied exactly this. They put people in MRI machines and presented dilemmas involving vital losses. What they discovered was disturbing. When the dilemma involves abstract things, like money or objects, your brain processes the decision logically. You calculate, weigh options, choose the best alternative mathematically. But when the dilemma involves people you love, something different happens. The emotional areas of your brain activate intensely. You're no longer calculating. You're feeling. And those emotions can completely paralyze your ability to decide. This is exactly what happens to Sophie. In the 1982 film that tells this story, Meryl Streep plays Sophie in that scene. The Nazi officer is waiting. The seconds are passing. And Sophie simply cannot speak. She begs, please don't make me choose, I can't choose. But the officer doesn't move. And when another soldier begins to take both children away, Sophie realizes that if she says nothing, she will lose both of them forever. So she screams, take the little girl. Her 4-year-old daughter is torn from her arms. She hears the child's screams echoing as she's taken to her death. And Sophie stands there holding her son in silence, knowing she just condemned her own daughter. The question philosophers ask is, did Sophie make the right choice? The utilitarian answer is simple. Yes, one child saved is better than none. If she hadn't chosen, both would have died. Mathematically, she maximized the best possible outcome within the circumstances. But that answer seems monstrous, doesn't it? And that's exactly what makes Sophie's dilemma so important for understanding how our minds work. Philosopher Joshua Greene spent years studying how our brains process moral decisions. He discovered that we have two different systems operating simultaneously. The first system is emotional, fast, instinctive. It's the system that makes you feel horror when imagining choosing between your children. It doesn't calculate consequences. It simply screams that this is wrong, that no mother should be capable of doing this. The second system is rational, slow, calculating. It's the system that recognizes that saving one is better than losing both. It sees the math of the situation. It understands that in an impossible scenario, minimizing losses is the only available strategy. In normal dilemmas, these two systems usually agree. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. Emotions and reason point in the same direction. But in dilemmas like Sophie's, the two systems go to war. Emotion says choosing is impossible. Reason says not choosing is worse. and you're paralyzed in the middle, unable to act. What the research shows is that normal people freeze in these dilemmas. The emotional activation is so intense that it blocks the ability to reason. It's as if your brain shuts down to protect itself from the trauma of having to decide. But there's a group of people who don't freeze. People with psychopathic traits. Studies show that individuals with elevated levels of the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, process these dilemmas differently. The emotional activation simply doesn't happen with the same intensity. For them, Sophie's dilemma isn't a dilemma. It's an optimization problem. Which child has a better chance of surviving? The older boy is probably stronger. The choice is obvious. This doesn't mean these people are evil. It means their brains work differently. They don't feel the moral paralysis that the rest of us feel. And here's the disturbing part. Under certain circumstances, all of us can think this way. When you're exhausted, stressed, or emotionally drained, your emotional system doesn't have the energy to function properly, and your brain jumps straight to rational mode. Soldiers in war report this. Emergency room doctors report this. People in extreme survival situations report this. At some point, the emotions simply shut off, and you do what needs to be done. Sophie did what needed to be done, and it destroyed her. After the war, she couldn't live with her choice. The film shows Sophie years later still tormented by guilt. She drinks. She gets into abusive relationships. She has constant nightmares about her daughter's screams. And eventually, she kills herself, not because she made the wrong choice, but because making the right choice in an impossible situation left a wound that never healed. This is what researchers call moral injury. It's the trauma that happens when you're forced to violate your own values to survive. When you do something you know is right but feels completely wrong. Soldiers suffer from this. Doctors suffer from this. People who had to make impossible decisions to protect their families suffer from this. The scar isn't from what you did. It's from who you discovered you were capable of being. Sophie is not a murderer. She's a mother who was placed in a situation where there was no clean way out. And that's exactly what makes the story so important. Because Sophie didn't create that dilemma. The Nazi officer created it. He turned a mother into an instrument of her own tragedy. He forced her to carry a guilt that should have been exclusively his. Manipulators do this all the time. They create situations where you have to choose between terrible options. And then they blame you for the choice you made. The trap isn't the choice itself. It's accepting that you had to choose. The paralysis you felt imagining this scene isn't weakness. It's your brain functioning exactly as it should. The same emotions that prevent you from coldly choosing between two children are the ones that make you love them in the first place. Sophie's dilemma isn't a test you pass or fail. It's a reminder that there are people willing to use your humanity as a weapon against you. Who will transform your love, your compassion, your morality into tools to break you? Sophie didn't fail the dilemma. The dilemma is that it was impossible not to fail. And perhaps the most disturbing question isn't what you would do in her place, but what you would do facing the man who forced her to choose.